Welcome back, everybody, to another segment of Wednesday Wisdom on the Educational AD Podcast. We're going to be right back with today's Wednesday Wisdom guest, but as always, we're going to give a shout out to our sponsors, including K-12 Sports Tech. They sponsor all of our Wednesday Wisdom segments, along with their other great sponsors. So take a minute, don't hit that fast forward button. Let's listen to our sponsor shout outs, then listen to our guest, and then go and visit these sponsors. I'm telling you, you're going to be glad you did. Here we go. Hey, we want to say thanks to our sponsors for Wednesday Wisdom, especially K-12 Sports Tech as the named sponsor. K-12 Sports Tech helps athletic directors and vendors connect through education and hands-on consulting. Athletic directors are also invited to join the K-12 Sports Tech AD think tank and help influence how companies shape their tech to serve schools. To get started or to join the think tank, just go to k12sportstech.com. That's k12sportstech.com. We also want to thank our friends at Sideline Interactive, indoor score tables and video boards. Go to sidelineinteractive.com and you can schedule a live web demo to see their score tables and their scoreboards in action. You probably heard me talk about our Sideline Interactive indoor score table and how it was a game changer. Well, their video boards are even bigger game changers. Go to sidelineinteractive.com. Schedule that live web demo today. Sidelineinteractive.com. We also want to say thanks to Home Campus. Now, Home Campus is the official platform of the Florida High School Athletic Association. Every school in Florida uses it. They also do the same thing in California and other states. But even if your state has a platform, you're going to want to look at Home Campus, particularly their athletic clearance and eligibility platform. I'm telling you, it's a game changer. Go to homecampus.com for more information. We want to thank our friends at Gipper. You know, your students are on social media, and the team at Gipper can help you create world-class content in seconds, whether it's a social media announcement celebrating a big victory or an entire social media newsletter promoting your brand. The Gipper team will have you creating world-class content in seconds. Go to gipper.com to get started. We want to say thanks to Snap Raise. Have you ever spent weeks and weeks with a fundraiser and been disappointed in the results? Well, those days are gone. Go to snapraise.com. It's hands down the best online fundraiser out there. We used it at our school with great success. Our coaches loved it. Our parents loved it because it works. If you're looking for a fundraiser, look no more. Go to snapraise.com. We also want to thank Huddle. As a football coach, I used Huddle for years. As an athletic director, I made sure we were a Huddle school. And our coaches, all of our coaches, just loved the tools that Huddle provided. Our student athletes love the videos and our parents love the streaming, but there is so much more. Join the 8 million users. Find out how to turn your school into a Huddle school. We also want to thank Ohio University and their online masters in athletic administration. My assistant AD got his master's, along with thousands of others, through the Ohio program. And it was a great experience. It's totally online, just 20 months, also very affordable. And while you're completing your master's degree, you're also completing 11 NIAAA leadership training courses at no extra charge. For more info, just go to ohio.edu/info/MAA. We want to thank Vital Signs Wall of Fame for their support. If you're looking for a really cool way to display your school record boards or your school's Hall of Fame, go to Vital Signs Wall of Fame and take a look at their interactive touchscreen. That's right, touchscreen video consoles. It's also a great way to share your school's unique history and brag a little bit about your proudest moments. The website is vitalsignswalloffame.com. We want to say thanks to our friends at Hometown Ticketing. Hometown is the leading digital ticketing provider to schools and colleges. And if you go to hometownticketing.com, their team is going to show you how to set up and sell tickets online at your school. Whether it's more support, more security, or more customization, the Hometown team is here to help you make the best online ticketing solution. That's hometownticketing.com. And we'd like to thank Athletic Surveys by LifeTrack. Athletic surveys or athletic directors already get a lot of feedback, but many times it's from a small group that just wants to complain. Athletic Surveys is going to connect you to that group, but they're also going to connect you to the 98% that supports your program. And having that collection of data, that feedback is incredibly valuable, especially when you're visiting with a frustrated parent, maybe your principal, or even your school board. Go to athleticsurveys.com. They're going to create that custom survey that lets you take the pulse of everybody in your program. athleticsurveys.com. Hey, welcome back, everybody, to another segment of Wednesday Wisdom on the Educational AD Podcast. We've got one of our regulars with us, one of our most frequently downloaded members of the Wednesday Wisdom team. I'm talking, of course, about the great Destiny Brightman. Regular listeners will recognize that name. Destiny's the, I guess we can say now, longtime AD at Orange Park High School. That's up in the kind of the Jacksonville corner of Florida. Very active at the state level. And right now we're recording this on December 19th. She's very active literally as we speak, as they are hosting a big boys basketball tournament at her school. Destiny, welcome back to Wednesday Wisdom.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Right. Well, many of us just got back from the national conference in Austin, another great conference. I think a lot of schools are wrapping up with final exams. Hopefully, they're still not classes going on, and a lot of people are hosting tournaments. So I'm going to shut up. What do you have for our listeners on this episode of Wednesday Wisdom?
Oh, I just wanted to speak about maybe relationship building when it comes to officials and how that looks on and off the field. I feel like we're close to holiday time, and so I pride myself in always letting my coaches and people who work for me know how much I appreciate them. And so I do think that it is vital that we as athletic directors and coaches, we do the same when it comes to officials. I have a few things going on my campus, as we speak, but I was just in a situation where we have a tournament. And so there's a team here that has traveled from Miami, and it's a boys tournament. And so it was a pretty aggressive play, but one young man, I just felt like he just got clobbered. And he ended up breaking his nose very quickly in the first quarter. So that's what I was dealing with, cleaning up blood and everything that comes with it. And so when he came off the court, his coach said, he didn't want to question the call because he felt like they're the traveling team that's here from Miami, and they're not going to get any good calls. And I was like, well, why do you think that? Because I feel like it should be fair across the board. And so then I asked the official, all three of them, I said, so between the three of you all, nobody watched this kid get clobbered and now his nose is broken. He had just made the comment that it was an aggressive play and the kid came in, rather aggressively. And my concern as an AD is those are things that I have to make sure I have control over, because that's when fans get upset, and then if they feel as if, they're not being treated fairly. And I never want someone to feel like that. So I just had expressed to the official, like, hey, listen, and I don't want anyone in here to feel like, they're not being treated fairly just because they're not from here. And that's kind of just how they felt. Not that that's what had happened, but, I made that very clear that I expected them to, call a fair game regardless, because this team traveled far, and the young man, his nose was broken. And so, but that's what I was just going through.
Again, you're on the front lines right now, even as many of our listeners are on vacation. I guess maybe I got a couple of questions, and you and I have talked about this before. Longtime athletic director, also longtime basketball official here in the state of Florida.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to say one thing, and then I want to ask a question. I was a crew chief many times. I was, often a member of other crews, and there was kind of, I guess, an unwritten or unspoken law, although we did talk about it pregame, that, hey, if somebody goes down, if it's a block charge or, collision, both kids go flying, there's got to be a call one way. It can't just be a no call because bodies, not every contact is a foul, but if somebody goes down that hard, there's got to be a whistle. So nobody called a foul on the kid with the broken nose. Did they call an offensive foul on him, or was just, he was down?
There was not a whistle blown.
Okay. Now, here's my follow-up question. I'm going to guess, play stopped because the kid's on the ground. Um, were the benches or were the players on the floor, the benches, the coaches? Was there any sort of, I guess, negative response to the non-call, or were they
It
just
it
kind of watching
was.
what happened?
And so the ball never stopped. So the young man is on the ground squealing, on the ground. Ball still goes all the way to the other end. It wasn't stopped until someone scored at the other end, and then one official stayed to the back, and then his coach came out there. And I will say that luckily this team has traveled so far that there wasn't a big fan base for the Miami team. And I say that luckily because these are the things that make me, uneasy at games, just watching the crowds. Like I'm constantly scanning the crowds to make sure that no one's coming out, no one's coming off of the benches. Of course, the players, all of them on both sides, were very concerned, about the young man, and I think it was just a natural reaction. Um, and so he was very shook up. I think it was more anxiety because I think he knew that his nose was broken. And so just calming him down and, cleaning up. I think most people stayed calm just to kind of keep him calm because he was already going through a lot.
Right. So, again, just to be clear for our listeners, you logged on to our recording a little bit late. So this game's going on right now as we speak, correct?
Right now, you probably hear whistles and
Uh,
feet squealing in the back. I'm in my boys basketball coach's office.
Well,
Um,
I guess that brings to mind, I guess maybe two things. I know you've already shared with me. You spoke to the officials,
mhm,
briefly. Um, the fact that you're here talking to me and sharing with our listeners, you obviously have a great deal of confidence in your game management team. Both the coach and their staff to, do things right and not
mhm,
create a situation where you're not there to immediately supervise. You talked about the very first thing you talked about was the need of an athletic director to build that good relationship. I can tell you some of the things that I did. I've shared them before with our listeners, but what are some things that you have done in your time at Orange Park to build that relationship? So when something like this happens, you're not. This isn't the first time you're talking to the association.
right.
You've already done, and I know you've done that, but share with our listeners, what are some of the things that you've done?
So initially, as soon as we are assigned officials, I always make contact with them and I let them know how to come in, where they're going to park, where they will be housed. And I also let them know that, my information if they need anything. Um, and then also when they get here, I have a hospitality for them. A lot of times it's early in the afternoon today, but typically if it wasn't, holiday time and we were out of school early, it would be in the evening. And so I always like to provide them something, whether it be, chicken wings and some chips, afterwards. But I just always have a hospitality for them. And that's just a way of saying thank you for your time. Thank you for being here. I know that it's hard for some of them to get home and have dinner and be changed. And so when it's National Officials Month, I always have a little banner that's inside of the room that we keep them. And it just, expresses how much we appreciate them.
Yeah,
So those are the few things that and it's gone very, very well. I think that communication up front is important. And so them just kind of knowing, you can tell when they come in, I let them know. So I have a team that works with me, which is the reason why I'm able to come into this office. I have some coaches that I'm, blessed to have trained and, they're me when I'm not there. And so it works out really well.
Yeah, you hit on so many great points. Number one, the communication with them. Even if it's just that simple email. Game time. Meet you at the front of the gym. We have our officials room, and the officials that have been there before, they can kind of take the
Hmm.
maybe a new official that's never been to your high school in there, having even if it's not a tournament. Having the water, having snacks, or letting them visit your concession stand at some point. It's amazing still in this day, 2024, 25, the
Hmm.
number of schools, the number of ADs that just don't do those basic things.
Hmm.
And you mentioned the tournament, having that hospitality room. Um, One thing that's going to make teams want to come to your tournament, ADs, I'm talking to you right now, is having that quality experience. And that means quality officials. And how do you get those quality officials? You put on that hospitality room so that they're
Hmm.
telling their assigner, hey, we want to go to Orange Park High School and run their tournament. We did that very thing at my schools I was at as an AD, and it worked great. I'm going to say one more thing and I'm going to shut up. Um,
Hmm.
Building that relationship, it's a partnership. You as an
Hmm.
AD, you have to make sure your coaches are not that coach that's just griping and nonstop. Oh, you got to call that. Oh, that's travel. Oh, you missed that. I would
Right.
tell our coaches literally, and I'd say it very nicely, but I would say, shut up and coach your kids.
Hmm.
You're chirping at the referees. Who's coaching the players? Well, the answer is
Right.
nobody. Okay. Coach your kids. If there's a problem, you let me know and I'll talk to the assigner. And we had referees that loved to come to our gym. Destiny, I'm sure it's the same way. And
Hmm.
it's not why you do it, but if you do all those things, you take every single 50-50 call in a basketball game and you've just turned those into, at worst, 51,
Hmm.
49 in your favor because officials are human. Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. So treat those officials with respect. Let your kids know that you, as a coach, respect authority. There's going to be that
Hmm.
bad call. Okay. It's going to happen. It's not if it's going to
Hmm.
happen, it's going to happen. Just coach your kids and move on. So that I'm going to shut up and let you say something,
Hmm.
Destiny.
Yeah, and I definitely can relate to that. I think, from me being a former coach before, I always tell my coaches, um, there's going to be calls that we just don't agree with, and that's fine. But we're not going to put ourselves in a situation where we're going to upset an official because, just like you said, they're human. And, I'm human. I said it as a coach. I would stand in front of my parent meetings and let them know, be careful what you say in those stands because somehow those words just grow legs and they come right down and they come to me. And then I'm, coaching your child
Mhm.
and I'm human. So that flesh, in me. And so I always say that we will treat, everybody in here with dignity and respect. And sometimes we'll have to agree to disagree, but we're not going to act up because coaches, we are role models for the kids out here. And I definitely do not let any kids, I don't pay, it's in our, when they choose to play sports and they have to go through athletic clearance, it's in there like, I don't pay any fees. You better not get ejected because your parents are paying that fee from the FHSA. It will not be from me because we have acted inappropriately. And it's the same thing with coaches. If you get removed or you get in trouble in a game, you will see me the next day because we won't act like that. And I just think that it's fair that we're already short on officials across the board, and it's not an easy job, and I understand that, and there's just going to be some calls that are missed, and I understand that too. Today I felt was a little bit unfortunate because the young man, he really was injured. There was nothing intentional about it. Unfortunately, he did get injured, and it was sad to see. However, it's just those are the type of things that are going to happen, unfortunately. And so I keep my parents, I keep everybody off the floors. I don't let, and I let those officials know when they come in. If anybody is bothering you, they know to contact the administrator on duty. If I'm not here, someone, who is replacing me will let you know, but we will remove them quickly because we just won't let it, escalate. And I let them know, you want to stay in here, you need to close your mouth and you need to be quiet. And I've had to at different sports, walk beside a coach like, hey, calm down. Don't get put out of here because then you're going to see me in the morning, So I do think that relationship building, and I know that there are a lot of officials. I have relationships with a lot of officials across all the boards, all sports, and they appreciate that. They look for me really like, where's the AD, because they know
Right. Yeah.
I'm going to handle that. And so, these officials today, I know him on a first name basis. When I walked up, and said his name, and it was just a conversation like, are you okay with that? Like,
Oh,
nobody
yeah.
saw that call.
Well,
And he was
and
looking
you
like, I mean, I'm sorry, like I'm not, like it just happened. Like I was like, no whistle, like so, no, not one of you three. We're gonna blow the whistle.
yeah, they're all waiting for the other guy to blow the whistle. Yeah,
Yeah,
one quick point, and you brought up a great point. Nobody's perfect. The officials aren't perfect, and I remember I would hear coaches, sometimes even my coaches, say, "Well, they're getting paid; they should know the rules." And I go, "Wait a minute, we don't deduct your paycheck when your kid misses that free throw, or the player he's guarding, scores 20 points, or your player has that terrible turnover. Hey, you're not perfect either, coach. So,
right.
let's remember that. Destiny, truly an on-site at the moment
Yes,
master
sir.
class on working with officials. If one of our listeners wants to reach out, pick your brain a little bit, and listeners, you have a tremendous resource here. What's the best way that somebody can get a hold of Destiny Brightman?
Oh, definitely utilize my email address at destiny.brightman@myoneclay.net. You can also follow me on social media. I'm over Orange Park Athletics. We're on Twitter or X, Facebook, and Instagram, and I'll answer from there too.
Yeah, and Destiny has a very strong X game. She does a great job promoting her program. Destiny, I'm going to
Thank
let you
you.
go. Thanks for sharing. Again, we're recording this December 19th. Have a great holiday season, and we will definitely connect again next year in
Yes,
2025.
I appreciate it. Happy holidays to you as well.
For listeners, we want to wish you happy holidays and remind you all of our episodes are uploaded to the Educational AD Podcast YouTube channel. We do this segment every week and just about every day. We try to share stories and best practices. So we'll see you next time on the Educational AD Podcast. Before we go, we do want to thank all of our sponsors, particularly K-12 Sports Tech. Go to k12sportstech.com. Check out the AD Think Tank. We also want to thank Athletic Surveys, Sideline Interactive, Hometown Ticketing, Snap Raise, Home Campus, Gipper, Ohio University's Online Masters, and Huddle. Thanks again for listening to Wednesday Wisdom. We'll see you next time on the Educational AD Podcast.